Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs, and today we have a very important topic. Of course, it is the topic of the hour. When we talk about sustainable development, of course, we've been talking about sustainable developments for even almost 7 years now, ever since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came to office, and he has been setting his eyes, giving his directives for executing and focusing over the 17 SDGs. And of course, when we talk about sustainable development, it is part and parcel of standing up to the dangers of climate change and all that is related to the environment, preserving the environment, because when we talk about a better future, a smart future, it is sustainable development and it is free of the dangers of climate change. We're going to be talking about that in detail, but most importantly, we need also to focus over a very important event that took place, which is the graduation of a new batch under the auspices of the Ministry of Planning, the graduation of a batch of be an ambassador for sustainable development. Of course, an initiative, the road to COP27, was taken there, and of course this cannot be dispatched from the other call that was earlier taken during the World Youth Forum earlier, like a month or so before, the road from Glasgow to Sharm el-Sheikh. Today we're going to be talking about all these important fronts in detail, and we're very delighted to be having with us our dear guest, Angie Mohammed Ibrahim. She's an ambassador for sustainable development.
Hi, Dina. Thank you so much for your introduction. Great, thank you.
It's all my pleasure. But let us first talk about, you became an ambassador for sustainable development.
Exactly.
Which is a great responsibility, by the way.
A huge responsibility.
I know you are excited, and it's very important. It's a great achievement. You have come a long way, and you have worked very hard to earn that particular title. But at the same time, it's one big responsibility over your shoulder. Let us first talk about the initiative, be an ambassador for sustainable development, and how it was taken from scratch. It was, of course, initiated by the Ministry of Planning. And later on, we're going to be talking about the road to COP27. But let us talk about the be an ambassador for sustainable development.
Okay. So
how did that idea spark?
So first of all, as you said, it's an initiative launched by the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, and that was in cooperation with the National Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development. The initiative was launched approximately in the year 2020, and it was held in 3 phases. The first phase is the introductory phase, which provides educational courses and training courses through a platform entitled Sustainability, which belongs to the National Institute, and it provides more information about how to improve your soft skills, such as communication skills, how to form your resume, how to manage your time, and a bit of, or a very simple definition for the sustainable development. And then we had the advanced level. It's the second phase, which was also held online, and we had to deal with a number of videos that were recorded online and submitted via the platform Sustainability. And then we had to deal with Zoom sessions with the lecturers, which were the elite of the lecturers, which provided us with all the information, and they tackled with us all the topics concerned with the Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, we had the specialized level, which was the only phase that was held offline. It was tackling the training of trainers program. They were 7 days, and they were qualifying all the trainees to be ambassadors to the sustainable development and to raise the awareness of the sustainability idea. So those were the 3 phases of the sustainable development, or the Be an Ambassador initiative.
Be an Ambassador initiative, it's a great one. But I need to ask you, before that particular phase in your life, were you quite aware with the SDGs, the 17 SDGs? You were interested? Or how did you join? I mean, what were the most important reasons that made you join that particular initiative?
Well, yes, I was really interested in the Sustainable Development Goals. I was volunteering as a student with some student activities that were concerned with the Sustainable Development Goals, Enactus, which stands for Entrepreneurial Action, and US was one of the student activities that I used to be there to volunteer and to help achieve the 17 goals in our beloved Egypt. And also I was volunteering with United Nations as an English instructor for an organization entitled Better Life Vietnam, and it aims at improving the English language for the Vietnamese there to help improve the education, not just for everyone, but especially for the marginalized groups in Vietnam, so that we want to achieve goal number 4, which is quality education, and goal number 10, which is reduce inequalities. So I had to deal with both of them. I was volunteering in Egypt and abroad to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
So it's almost around 700 youth. I mean, between girls and young women and young men.
Yes, there
who
were
graduate.
7,000 applicants.
700? Oh, so you
7,000.
chose, and then they were chosen 700.
Only, about 1,000 were selected. 1,000 applications were selected, so yes, about 7,000 applications were introduced to the ministry, and it was quite a big number, but 1,000 applications were accepted. So those are the ambassadors of the sustainable development.
So how did you get your training, first of all? I mean, what were the means of getting the first phase where you were introduced to how to write your resume and other things like that, to be able to shape your thinking and at the same time be professional in executing your goals and all that? How did that happen?
Well, the first phase was held, as I said, on an online forum, on an online platform entitled Sustainability, and it belongs to the National Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development. So they used to upload some videos, and they were recorded videos, and we had to finish them in some time intervals, for example, for a month or so. And the second phase was also held online on this platform, in addition to the Zoom sessions that were handed with the lecturers to discuss with us or to tackle with us the problems, the challenges, the questions that we might have. So the first and the second phase were held online through this platform, and the third one was held offline.
So tell me, you as an example, you had a prior phase that you were exerting all your efforts to be able to achieve sustainable or achieve goals for sustainable development. You worked on many fronts. You had prior experience to that particular initiative, and you said you were doing so. But other people who joined with you, why do you think they joined? Were they interested in a better future? They were in full recognition of these 17 SDGs, or they were looking forward to be able to apply that on any other front?
Well, I believe that we as Egyptians now are really concerned with achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we're also very interested in achieving Egypt's Vision 2030. So yes, I believe all my partners were interested in achieving the goals, and on my level as a student, I was interested in achieving them on the academic level. For my partners, they were interested in achieving them in their local communities. For example, people working in banks, working in the environment sector, in the civil society. So each one was interested to achieve the sustainable development in his or her own career, which was very broad, and there was like a huge variety of people from very different backgrounds, and that's a plus to achieve the sustainable development on all levels, not just one or two sectors. It was achieved on all levels.
On all levels and all domains.
Yes.
We need now to shed the light over the different levels or those domains. You said you joined a number of initiatives and you were focusing on some interests. which were quite interesting at the same time. If you like to elaborate over that and also talk to me about the achievements that you have been taken while trying to be focusing over those spectrums or sectors.
Well, I was interested, and I'm still interested in achieving goal number 4, which is quality education, because I am working as a part-time English instructor in Explore British Academy. So I quite have an experience in teaching and in the English language specifically. So that qualified me to volunteer with the United Nations. So that was part of achieving goal number 4, which is providing inclusive and equitable education for a better life Vietnam, and especially for the marginalized groups in Vietnam, which achieves goal number 10, which is reduce inequalities. And also I helped, or I participated in an initiative in the faculty of Al-Alsan in Shams University, where I am studying. So I participated in this initiative entitled Sustainability and Entrepreneurship, and it was under the auspices of the Dean of the Faculty of Al-Alsan, Dr. Salwa Rashad. In this initiative, I was giving a speech entitled How Can Alsunians or people studying in Faculty of the Languages participate or contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals? My aim was to increase awareness about the concept of sustainability in my field, because people have very limited overview of the Sustainable Development Goals because it's quite irrelatable to what we're studying. So I was interested in introducing this concept or this mindset, which is the sustainability in our field. And I was so happy to provide to them some job opportunities where I am working, to provide to them some volunteering opportunities, for example, in Better Life Vietnam. So I was really happy to help spread people's awareness on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And that's what I'm trying to work on nowadays as an ambassador of sustainable development.
That is very good. What exactly were your steps or the details of the program that you applied in order to achieve that initiative you took at the university?
Well, some of the doctors and the professors in my college or my faculty contacted me was first to do a voiceover for some videos to spread awareness on the Sustainable Development Goals. And when I knew that it was about the sustainability, I was really interested in giving a speech. So then I prepared a speech on how to be an ambassador for the sustainable development, how to volunteer for it, how to contribute to these 17 goals. So then I started to prepare my speech, prepare my presentation.
That was in college, inside college,
yes,
or outside?
That was inside college. It was for people studying in the faculty. So I started on a small scale, which is inside the faculty. But from my point of view and from my goals, I'm planning to get wider and bigger with this scale. I'm planning to increase people's awareness on sustainability, not just in my faculty, but in other faculties, other age varieties, and maybe all over the world one day.
So in the coming phase, you're going to be trained by the National Governance
I
Institute?
have already trained. Now I am a certified ambassador from the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, and also the National Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development. So now I am an ambassador and a trainer.
Right, but you have been trained to be able to get aware also about important issues like the climate change and the dangers of climate change, how to stand up and handle those dangers, the ecosystem and the biological balance, for example, and all the fronts or all the topics that are related to climate change and coping with climate change. And that is also very important because they are part and parcel of sustainable development. They cannot be dispatched.
I totally agree with you. The climate change is such an important issue that I believe the whole world is trying to tackle these days, nowadays. And of course, we as ambassadors of the sustainable development, and especially the top achievers of this initiative, are going to be presenting or are going to participate in COP27, which is going to be held here in Egypt. So we, of course, are going to participate in this issue, and I hope it's going to be solved one day, because it is endangering the future generations. The climate change is one of the most important topics that are endangering the whole world, not just Egypt, but the whole world and the whole community. So yes, I totally agree.
Let's move into another initiative, and you were also interested in empowering the educational front with another initiative. If you'd like to elaborate in detail about it.
Yes, while in the graduation ceremony, which took place last Sunday, that was in the presence of Her Excellency Dr. Hala Saeed, which I really thank for providing us such opportunity, and especially for providing undergraduates and trying to invest in their capabilities. So for the graduation ceremony, it was in the presence of Her Excellency Dr. Hala Saeed, the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, also the Minister of Environment, Dr. Yasmin Fouad, and Minister of Immigration and the Egyptian Expatriates Affairs, Dr. Nabila Makram. So in her speech, in Dr. Yasmin's speech, she was talking about an initiative entitled Green Minds, which is going to take place for students in schools to educate them on the sustainability and the sustainable development goals. And it's in partnership with the faculty of with the Ministry of Education. So they are targeting now the students, or the young students in schools, to grow up with the mindset of sustainability and the sustainable development goals.
So that sounds very good, but what about the another initiative that you talked about earlier in the beginning, that empowers the education of the low-income brackets and the people in informal settlements, and those people who haven't been privileged enough to get enough awareness or complete education, or illiterate?
Yes, this is something I'm trying still to work on. I had to wait till I am a certified ambassador to be able to tackle this, and a certified trainer, of course. So yes, this is part of my agenda, to work on educating people who are not able to educate themselves enough about the sustainability, about the sustainable development goals. How can they contribute to achieving these goals? So yes, it's on my agenda, and that's why I was interested in volunteering with the United Nations volunteers with Vietnam, and especially the marginalized groups in Vietnam. I was really interested in that part.
Not only marginalized groups in Vietnam, but also marginalized groups inside
Egypt,
the Arab world and Egypt.
And that's why,
and Africa.
Yes, of course, and that's why the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development is launching a new batch, and not just on the Egyptian level, but on the whole Arab world level. It's targeting all over the Arabs to start a new batch, just like the Be an Ambassador, just like the one that I've just graduated from. But it's not only targeting Egyptians, it's targeting people from all over the Arab world.
Talk to us about the importance of that particular project, Be an Ambassador for Sustainable Development. Where exactly this project is going, or initiative is going to provide assistance to be able to empower and enforce the other SDGs? How is it going to be linked? Like for climate change, for example, because Dr. Yasmin Fouad was there, Dr. Nabila Makram was there, so there are many sectors that are involved. Their presence was significant for relevance to that particular project.
Well, as a matter of fact, for the participants who were in the Be an Ambassador initiative, we had people from very different backgrounds. Some people are interested in achieving goal number for example, such as me, which is quality education. Some people are interested in other goals which are more concerned with the climate change. So those are the ones that are going to work on the issue of climate change. Some people are more, for example, the engineers. So they were interested in achieving the strong or a sustainable infrastructure. So each one or each background is looking for a way to achieve the sustainable development. And that's why nowadays ministers are cooperating and coordinating with each other in order to achieve sustainability in each and every sector here in Egypt. So each one with each career is going to look forward to a way to achieve sustainable development.
Actually, that particular initiative, be an ambassador for the sustainable development, the SDGs in general, is a good opportunity to be able to empower youth to be in direct contact with several ministries and with the vision for 2030, according to the directives of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, and according also to the vision of each ministry. So if you like to elaborate, how is that going to happen?
For the Be an Ambassador initiative, what I really liked about it, as I said, is that it's investing in the youth capabilities. For example, the Training of Trainers program that we've taken in the third phase, which was held offline, it's such a very good opportunity to qualify youth or the participants in the initiative. So it's such a very good opportunity and a hub of knowledge that is provided for youth. So I believe that the ministry is investing in youth, which in my own humble opinion, it's the most rewarding kind of investment, because you are investing in the youth capabilities, because one day each and every one that is graduating from the initiative is going to seek sustainability. So that's the reward of investing in them. So yes, they were providing all the materials and all the necessary needs that we could encounter through the initiative, whether from the lecturers that were providing us with the recorded lectures via the platform. They provided us with such a hub of knowledge that we wouldn't have taken anywhere else. So yes, the ministry was investing in youth capabilities.
Right, not only youth capabilities, but all calibers, all good calibers. When we talk about, like I earlier said in my intro, when we talk about the SDGs, we cannot dispatch them from the coping with climate change. And that's why the initiative of the road to COP27 came. It's a foundation for the upcoming COP27 coming up our way in this November, and because everything that is related to sustainable development is also related to climate change, biological balance, ecosystem, and diversity and everything, and maintaining or preserving the environment from the economic greed and from deforestation and all that stuff. So if you like to elaborate, how are you people as ambassadors going to deliver this particular message, pass it through to the layman in the street, to other citizens, to in different sectors of society, like in universities, like in some departments, other departments in society? How is that going to happen?
Well, as participants or as graduates of the Be an Ambassador initiative, each one of us is going to have a certain agenda or a certain goal to work on to achieve this target that you've thankfully talked about. So for people concerned or people specialized in the climate change and preserving the environment are going to hold some initiatives to raise people's awareness, and they're going to target the areas that are most affected by the climate change, most affected by deforestation and acidifications of the oceans and etc. So they're going to hold initiatives to raise people awareness how to be eco-friendly, how to achieve or how to stop the issue of climate change. Of course, it's an issue that cannot be solved in a day or another. It needs time, and that's why we are here to raise people awareness, because the first step is to know there is a problem. So we have
To acknowledge the problem.
Exactly, to acknowledge the problem, to raise people's awareness that we have a problem and we need to work on it before it's too late, and we need to work on it for the future generations, which is the true definition of the sustainable development, because all of that sustainability and all of that work is to preserve and to maintain the capacities of the future generations. So the first step is to educate people about the problem, to acknowledge it, and to start setting a plan on how to tackle this issue. So yes, they are going to hold some initiatives for the people in various governorates and in various areas. They're going to hold it first on a small scale, and then they're going to go bigger. As for me, as one concerned with education, and so I participated in the seminar that was held in my faculty. So I was raising people's awareness. For example, students before the seminar, they knew nothing about. I asked them, have you ever heard about sustainable development? Do you know anything about it? And the answer was no. It was surprisingly no. So I started to acknowledge that we have sustainable development. They were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly. So I started to educate them about the concept, about the goals, and then how can we contribute to achieving them. The same applies to different sectors and different communities.
Personally, I'm not supposed to express how I feel. I would leave it to my guest, but at the same time, it's fair enough to be able to take good steps, liable steps towards 2030 and 2063. As President Abdel Fattah Sisi is in every spot, in every occasion, is giving his full concern for coping with climate change and executing the goals of sustainable development. But at the same time, there are still challenges, to be honest. And there are problems. There are grave problems, like, for example, people who are, sometimes you find people who are well educated, with a very good cultural background, but still they are not aware of the goals. They are not in full recognition of the importance and gravity of not heeding by those goals. How do you deal with situations like that? And because those people are educated, we're not talking about illiterate people. We're talking about well-educated people, but sometimes they come from an old school. They have different interests. They have economic interests which might come in conflict with sustainable development goals, and we have seen in some European countries and some power countries, the situation is very sad because of economic greed. I mean, different reasons and different conflict of interests. So this is a real problem.
That's why the initiative, or the Be an Ambassador initiative, was launched. It was Dr. Heda Saeed's idea a couple of years ago, and now it's on land, and now I am a graduate of this initiative. So that's why we are here. For example, as you said, economy is, by the way, one of the main dimensions of sustainable development. It's
a two-sided weapon, by the way.
It's a two-sided weapon, but we're trying to use it as much as we can in a sustainable way. So that's why the initiative was launched. It took people from very different backgrounds, people interested in the economy, for example, people working in banks, started to form green bonds. So they are starting to tackle or to get the way with the green economy. Some people are interested, for example, with the agriculture, so they are trying to tackle the climate change issue. People interested in the infrastructure, so that's why they accepted or they took partners and participants studying engineering to help with the goals concerned with the infrastructure. So that's our role. For the people concerning with the economy, we, or the ambassadors of sustainable development, are trying to now implement what we have learned in the initiative on the on-ground life, and especially on their careers and their professional life. So now each one of us is required to raise awareness in their field and in their careers. even if they are educated people. It's now their mission to raise their awareness and to put limits and to impose, maybe even if we have the authority to impose some restrictions or even to innovate new ideas that would deal with the economy and at the same time achieve the sustainable development goals.
The economic spectrum is already is a full file, and it needs a whole episode to talk
Yeah,
about.
of
But at the
course.
same time, you mentioned, you raised up a very important point, which is harshening the laws or enforcing the laws, which is already happening at the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Planning. There are some suggestions, even inside the Parliament. Sometimes it's not only the people, the layman in the street, or people in different sectors that you have to educate or set awareness campaigns to, but at the same time it's some legislators or some people in charge who should be aware of specific points in order to be able to give solutions to or stretch their hands to help you.
Exactly.
Did it scratch your mind as your group to be able to address probably different or new sectors in the government or in society, to be able to encourage them to stretch their hands to help you?
Yes, of course. As ambassadors, we are trying to innovate the ideas. We're trying to introduce new ideas. Maybe we're trying to submit different projects that could satisfy not only rules or legislations, but also they're trying to shape a new policy, introduce a new policy that would achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's now held with the Ministry of Planning, and it's also in cooperation with the Faculty of Science and Faculty of Political Science. So they are trying to implement the projects that are discussed, especially those the innovative, and that was part of our initiative. For example, we had to be tested or examined to move from one phase to another. For example, the first phase, to move from the first one to the second one, we had to go through an assessment or a test that was held also online, discussing or examining what we have tackled in the first phase. But to move from the second one to the third one, we had to do a research paper. And each one could do this research paper with what he is interested or she is interested. Some people introduced new ideas, and nowadays they are being implemented on ground. So yes, we don't only need new rules, new legislations, we need new projects, new innovative ideas to be really implemented on Earth.
What type of new ideas did it strike you as you have come along some of them?
There were some ideas related to the climate change and the economic sector as well. But for me, I was doing a research paper on, as I said, I was interested in the education, and I was partly interested in a project that I have contributed to in one of the villages of Egypt to help reduce the climate.
Literacy?
Yes, the waste and the organic waste, and so some ideas were presented. Some people were just reviewing what they have learned from the first phase, and others were just discussing some projects that they were working on in their professional lives because they are already graduates. So now they work and they can improve and implement what they have from ideas, concepts, and sustainability in essence of essence of it.
Green Minds, that sounds really encouraging. It's a very good initiative. It sounds encouraging
It sounds
and
great.
prosperous.
I agree.
Talk to us in detail about it and how you as ambassadors are going to add your touch to it.
Well, we don't really have news or any updates about how can we participate in the green fields. It was just released last Sunday by Minister of Environment, but it's targeting all students in different schools about the concepts of sustainability, about how can they contribute to it, about recycling. For example, as Dr. Yasmin has mentioned in her speech, it is not really complicated to convey this message to a child. It's somehow interesting for them. How can they can recycle paper? How can they can recycle a bottle of plastic? So she was talking about that we can do this earlier from the beginning to help maintain these capabilities of the generations that are going to continue our journey and help achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Right. And in the field of education, do you have other future plans? I mean, have you set some program or plans to be able to set new initiative in light of what you have been, following the footsteps of what you have been doing?
Yes, I am planning to work on a wider scale from the initiative that I've told you about, which is entitled Sustainability and Entrepreneurship. So yes, I'm planning to work on a broader scale to raise people's awareness on the concept of sustainability, on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, not just in my faculty and where I'm studying, but in other faculties, whether governmental ones or private ones. My main goal is to help educate people about the problem, help them acknowledge the problem, and then we can work on it. But we can't work on a problem without acknowledging that there is a problem. So people need to be first educated about the concept of sustainability. How can we use our natural resources in a sustainable way? And then we can start implementing them on our ground. So yes, I'm planning to work on a wider scale in different universities or maybe in different communities and societies after graduating as an ambassador of sustainable development.
Inshallah. But also you need the help of civil society.
Of course,
because
yes.
civil society, they have a huge foundation.
Well, that's a call for all the civil society to come and cooperate. It would be my pleasure.
Right, different fronts of civil society, because there are different types of civil society, and they are they have their eyes wide open on that particular issue and cause for the future.
I do hope so.
Right, and at the same time, as you prepare to do this, you might be able to. It might have crossed your mind to be able to deliver this particular assignment. You're assigned to do a job, and you can deliver the message for other people to carry the helm with you.
I'm also planning to use the power of social media for other youth. It's a big challenge because people using, for example, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or so, are interested in like finding memes or so on social media platforms. But I know it's a challenge, but I'm trying as much as I can to address this in the middle of social media. I need people to take this as a part and parcel of their everyday life. I don't need them to take it as an assignment. Oh yes, we have to start taking it into consideration, take sustainability.
Maybe as a cause.
Yes, exactly. It's an international cause, not just the national one. Especially as you talked about the climate change, it's an international cause. We all need to cooperate together in order to solve it, in order to tackle this project. It's endangering all of our lives, and especially women. So
it's so unfortunate that we didn't have even 1 minute, because of course women and empowering, enforcing women is one of the top priorities of SDGs. On a promise that you can come again in another episode,
yes.
And we dedicate maybe a whole episode for
it's my pleasure,
women
and I'm
children.
also trying to work on raising people's awareness on the issue of gender equality and empowering women and girls. I've participated in the Top 50 event, or the Top 50 Summit in its first edition. I was actually invited by Ministry of Planning and Economic Development to attend this summit. It was in the presence of Her Excellency Dr. Hala Al Saeed and the European ambassador. and a lot of lead people, and Her Excellency Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, Minister of International Cooperation. So it was in the presence of a number of ministers, and they were all there just to support women, to support gender equality. So yes, I'm really concerned and passionate about achieving this here in Egypt, and I can see real progress taken in this issue. I hope this progress is taken also in the climate change issue and in the concept of sustainability as a whole.
Of course. So from where we are now, it is a promise that
I
we
promise,
host you
yeah.
for gender equality and empowering and enforcing women in Africa and worldwide. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. It has been a great pleasure having you here, Angie
you so
Mohammed
much.
Ibrahim. You are an ambassador for sustainable development. All the best to you.
Thank you so much, Dina, for having me. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you so much. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.